Okay, so today, guys, we're going to be doing lesson 20 of module 5. And our objective or our target point is to be able to explain our strategy and record our thinking using written addition and subtraction method. So when we say this, we're talking about whether we're using our place value chart, whether it's arrow way or number bond, depending on the math, or if we're doing vertical. So guys, what we're saying is we're trying to give our answer in different ways, and we should be able to explain how we got to our answers. Okay, so the first one that we're going to be looking at today is going to be 320 plus blank equal to 418. This one is a little different, guys, because if you realize we're missing a number, right? We're missing a number. So when we get a problem like this, even though it's an addition problem, being that we're missing a middle number, we have to change, we're going to change our problem. We're going to change our problem. So now, even though we started out with 320 plus blank equal 418, we're going to change our problem to 418 subtract 320. And the reason that we're subtracting is because we're trying to find what this middle number is. Okay? So we're basically working backwards. Now, we're going to try to do this problem 3 different ways. We're going to start off by doing it the vertical method. Okay? So when we're doing it vertical, remember we're putting the first number over the second number. This is similar to the place value. Remember, we got to borrow and we have to distribute, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is start with the ones, of course, and we're going to say 0 from 8 is 8 because 0 is mean we're not taking anything, okay? So we're doing 8. Then we're doing 2 from 1. Obviously, 2 is a bigger number, so you cannot subtract a bigger number from a smaller number. In this case, guys, we will have to borrow from our neighbor, which is the hundred case, okay? So we're going to come over here to the 4, we're going to borrow 1 from them, and that's going to bring that number down to 3. Now we're going to add that one that we borrowed to the 10th place, changing our number from 1 to 11. Now 2 from 11 is going to give us 9, and we're going to put our 9 down. Now, remember we borrowed, so our number is now 3. So 3 from 3 is going to give us 0, right? So we don't have, in some cases you can put the 0 if you want to see where your stuff is. You do not have to put it. You can leave it like this, but you got to remember that there's a 0 right here, okay? The next method that we're going to try is going to be our place value. So let's do our hundreds. Our tens, and this is going to be a little smaller because the space is a little smaller to work with, and ones. Now we're starting off with 418. Remember, guys, when we're doing subtraction, we only put in the first number on the chart. We don't have to put both, okay? We only put in the first number. So that is our 400. This is our 110, and we're going to put our 8. Our 8 ones. And remember, guys, your number that you're subtracting is going to be the 320. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the 1 place. Guys, always start with the ones. If you start over here, more likely your answer is going to be off, okay? So always start in the 1's place. Now we're taking 0 from 8. Once again, 0 from 8. So that's going to give us 8, right? Because we're not taking anything. Now, we only have 1 in the 10th place. We need 2. We have to do what now? Samuel.
But unbundle for our 10.
We gotta borrow, right? So we unbundling. So we're going to come over here to our neighbor in the 100 place. We're going to borrow one of theirs. And that's going to give us how many? Tristan. 10. So when we borrow, it's going to give us 10. So now, I'm going to put our 10 here. No, together we have 11. Now we're taking 2 from that 11. So we're going to come down here, we're going to say 1 and 2. How much do we have left? Peyton, how much do we have left in our 10th place now that we've taken our 2? 9. And that's our 10th place. Now we have 3, right? And we're taking 3 from this 3. So we're basically losing all of this. What do we have left? Kava, 0. Once again, if it's easier for you to see what you did, you can put your 0 here. You don't have to, okay? You can leave it like that. Now, the next way, before we move on, did anybody have a problem with these two? What did you not understand about, Imani, what did you not understand?
I didn't understand how to do it.
We got 9 because remember we borrowed from our neighbor, right? And when we borrow, we're unbundling. So when we borrow from our 100 place, that's gonna give us 10. So remember there's 10 tens in 800. So we're unbundling tens, right? When we subtract 2 from our given number, which we have that 1 and that 10 together, that's gonna give us 11. So when we take, what we're looking at is if we have 11 things and we take 2 away, what we're gonna have left. And that is why we get our 9.
Why I only counted 8?
Because you need to remember that we still have this one right here.
Oh.
This, guys, the one that we have there is not gonna go anywhere. You have to remember to count that one. London.
8 is called 0 in 100.
Say it again.
8 is going to be 0 in 100 place.
Like I said, yes, it is 0. If there's nothing there, call it an imaginary 0, but it's a 0.
What?
So that's what I'm saying. You can put it there. If you need to see it, you can put it there. But you don't have to if you already know that it's supposed to be there, okay? So if it's easier for you to remember, you can put that 0. If you're okay remembering it like this, you can leave it without the 0. Whichever one is easier for you to remember. Go ahead, Katie. Which one? The vertical? So guys, the vertical is pretty much the same thing as the place value. Pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that we don't have the little place this, of course. Eyes forward. So once again, our place value is pretty much the same thing. What we're doing here is we're using the same numbers, it's just that we don't have a place set out like this. But when we borrow, we're doing the same thing as bundling and unbundling, okay? So do you understand that part? So when we come over here, we said we don't have enough to get that 2, so we have to get from our neighbor. That's the same thing we did here. We don't have enough here, so we borrowed from here. It's the same exact thing. It's just that it's a bit easier to see it here because of the place value chips, but here it's pretty much the same thing. Did you get that? You understand that? Okay. Which part of this you don't get? Which part of it? Because obviously this part is simple, so you already know you can't take 0. 0 from 8 is going to give you back the same number because 0 means there's nothing. So where did you get confused? This one? That is the first one. So what? Right here? Here? Okay, so number 1. So remember, it's the same thing like when we said we didn't have enough to take from it. So we came over here and borrowed. It's the same things. Remember, when we look at our number, we're looking at our 100, our 10s, and our 1s. It's the same thing. So we didn't have enough in our 10s place, so we borrowed from our 100. It's the same thing that we did here. We didn't have enough here, so we borrowed here. You get that? Okay. Now, let's move on. We're going to try doing this the arrow way. The arrow way. So remember, when we're doing the arrow way, we're starting with our first number. So we're doing our 418. Now we're using, guys, we have to remember the arrows. If it don't have no arrow, obviously it's not arrow way, right? So if we're trying to get to 320, what do we need to subtract? first? Go ahead, Samuel.
100.
100. We can start with 100. If it's easier for you, you can go ahead and jump and do it the 300. But it's whatever is easier for you to solve, okay? So if we take 100 from 418, what are we left with? Travis,
220.
remember we're doing 400 now. 418 and we're taking 100 from it.
318.
So we have 318. So now we have 318. What we gotta subtract to get to our next number? Tristan.
Another 100.
We can do another 100. And if we take 100 from this number, Tristan, what we have left?
218.
218. So now we have 218. We've just did 100 and 100 is what? 200, right?
Yep.
So we've now subtracted 200. Mind you, we're trying to get to 320. So what else we gotta do to this number to get to where we need to get to? Alexandria, what we gotta do? Say that again. We can take another 100. When we take another 100 from 218, what do we have, Timothy?
We have 118.
118. What we gotta do next, Kabar?
I don't know, 100.
Guys, let's look what we have so far. 100. Let's do it again, because we're not on here. Let's do it again.
100, 200, 300.
What are we trying to get to? What are we trying to get to?
320.
So what we gotta do to this number now to get to 320? Go ahead, Samuel.
A 10.
Subtract a 10.
Or you could have just did a 20.
Or like she said, we could have did a 20. But let's go ahead and do that 20 just because it's the difference. So let's do that 20. Now, if we take a 20 from 118, what is our new number gonna be? Go ahead, Travis. Okay.
88.
So let's look at it like this. If we had 118, right, and we needed to take 20, what are we doing? We're taking 0 from 8, and it's giving us what?
18.
And we're taking 2 from 1. Can 2 come from 1? What are we gonna do? We're borrowing, right? So we're coming over here and we're saying, we borrow from you, and this now is gonna be a 0, obviously.
98.
And then this is gonna be 11. What are we doing wrong, Samuel? What we just did wrong? What did you just do wrong? Think about it. Now that we have 11 and we take 2 from it, what's that number gonna give us? 9. So we have 9, right? And that is our answer. So when we do it this way, did we get the same answer for all 3 ways?
Yes.
And that's what is important. When we're finished, we should get to the same. Well, basically what I'm saying, it doesn't matter which way we do it. At the end of it, we should all have the same answer. Okay? The answer should not have changed unless we used the tape diagram. And the only reason why it changes with the tape diagram is because with a tape diagram, we subtract or we add to each side. Okay? And it changes the number a little bit. So with these 3 methods, your answer should always be the same. All right, let's move on. Yes, Imani, in a minute. So we're gonna try another one. But for this one, we're gonna do the face value chart, huh? We're gonna do the face value chart for this one. So our number for this one is going to be 546 subtract 298. And for this particular problem, we're just gonna focus on the place value chart. What is the first thing what do we need to remember when we do the place value chart with subtraction? What we need to remember. Come on. Go ahead, Travis, and help him out.
Make sure you use the first, put the first number on it.
Okay, so like he said, we always use the first number, okay? So let's put our 5, then our 4, and then our 6. Like our number that we're subtracting is 546, and we're subtracting 297. So we're doing 546, and we're subtracting 297.
Yes.
Now, this is what 546 look like on the place value chart. Now, we're going to go into subtracting from that number. So we're gonna start where? Where do we start paying? In the ones place. And what do we need to subtract from the ones place? What do we need to subtract from the one place? 7. Now remember we started with what number in the one place? We started with 6, right? Can 6 be subtracted? 7 get subtracted from 6. So what we gonna have to do? We're borrowing. Where are we borrowing from? We're borrowing from the 10s. When we borrow from the 10, how many are we unbundling? 10. Now, our new number in the one place is now what? Because we started with 6 and we added 10 to it. What is that new number, Samuel?
16.
16. So now that we have 16, when we take 7 from our 16, what are we going to have left? Let's count. So we're taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. What do we have left? Let's count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We got 9, right? So let's put our number down. So we got 9. Now we have 3 in our 10th place, right? What do we need to subtract from our 10th place, Katie? What do we need to subtract from our 10th place? Say it again. I need you to look at the number. What we need to subtract from our 10th place? What do we need to subtract from our 10th place? What? Okay, eyes forward. Sit up. Hey. Look at the number. What number is in the 10th place is the number that we're trying to subtract from? 9. So we're subtracting 9 from 3. Can you get 9 from 3? What we gotta do, Gage? What we gotta do? Destiny, help Gage out. What we gotta do since we don't have enough in the 10th place? We gotta borrow. From where? From the hundreds. So now we come over here and we borrow. When we borrow from the 100, how many we unbundling? Gabby?
10.
We're unbundling 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, with our 10 that we just unbundled, we now have how much in the 10th place? Go ahead, Gabby. 13. Now we're taking 9 from that 13. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. How much we have left? Imani, how much we got left? From the 10th place.
4.
We got 4. Guys, keep in mind that you always got to remember the ones that we start with. So we have 4. Now we're moving over to the hundreds, right? We have 5. We started with 5. We borrowed, so we have 4. Now we have 4. We're taking 2 from that 4. What is our new number going to be? We're taking 1 and 2. Gage, what is our new number now that we took 2 from 4? What is it?
2.
2. And that, what is this number, class?
249.
And that is your answer. Now, even though we did it this way, for our next problem, we're gonna work in teams, right? So what is gonna happen in the tables that there's only 3 people, you're gonna work in a group of 3. So one person is gonna do it the arrow way, one is gonna do it the place value, and one is gonna do it vertical. You will choose. Now, in the tables that we have 4 people, each one of you is gonna pair with the person beside you. And if that person do it vertical, you're gonna do it place value. If that person do it arrow way, you're gonna do it one of the other way. Now, let's move on. Now, at this time, I want you to turn to your group, and you're gonna decide, you're gonna decide, you need to use your notebook now. Use your notebook so you can write it down. You can work with him. You're using your notebook. Notebook. No. 3 y'all. So one do it arrow way, one do it the face value, and one face value, vertical, arrow way. Get to it now. Same thing. One person do it vertical, one do it arrow way, and one do it what?
You gotta do baseball first. It's easy. You know how to do baseball.
Okay, you said arrow way first. You can do the face value. You can do face value, do the arrow. And you Gabe, you're not doing that anymore. You're doing it. So it's 3 y'all. Y'all decide which one y'all want to do, but each one gotta do the same thing. Each one can't do the same thing. Turn around. Working as a group. What's gonna happen? I'm gonna give y'all 3 minutes now. 3. Yes. 3 minutes, and your 3 minutes starts now. It's 3 y'all. Decide which one. Then you can discuss when at the end of it, you gotta make sure that all persons you group have the same answer because your answer is still the same.
So we can start writing.
Go ahead, yes. Start doing it.